Hey everyone, it's Tracy Chen, your favorite immigration lawyer, and today I'm going to talk about tourist visas here in Australia, how to apply for them, and some of the different streams actually. But more so today, I'm going to focus on the subclass 600 visa. So as you guys know, Australia is basically back to normal now. The borders are open and everybody's freely traveling in and out of Australia. We've also seen an increase in the processing times for tourist visas. So obviously during COVID, it was taking 6 months, 12 months for an approval. Basically, some weren't even approved until the border opened again. So some were sitting there waiting for 2 years, which basically meant they weren't looking at the application. So even just forget about whether there was a processing time, whatever. I think what happened was the department obviously was inundated with all these different migration issues when the border closed. So I heard that they moved some of the team that were in certain processing areas to other processing areas. So very confusing indeed. But now it's all back to normal. So I want to talk about some of the general requirements. It is harder for different countries of passport. It is not straightforward. It's not like you can just apply. And this is the same for other countries like the US. I had a client recently who is Australian, recently refused under the visa waiver program for USA, which is crazy. Australia to USA, you would have thought that, it's really easy. It is not straightforward. So hopefully today I can give you guys some of the insights to a tourist visa here in Australia. As you guys know, I'm the principal lawyer at Mason Chen Law Group. We have lawyers and agents that work basically in all states in Australia. I'll leave a link below with our contact details so you can get in touch with myself or one of our fabulous lawyers and agents for a consultation. So basically, this tourist visa allows you to stay for up to 12 months in Australia. You'd have to give a reason though. Generally, they're granted with 12 months, but a maximum stay each time is 3 months at a time. And that's just standard, and that's for a lot of countries as well. The cost for the subclass 600 tourist visa is $145. Then the processing time can be anywhere between 1 day to a month. There is some that take longer, but if it's taken longer than that, yeah, you probably need your agent or your immigration lawyer, or if you did it yourself, you probably need to get in contact because there's something probably happening there. It shouldn't take that long, tourist visas. It should make complete sense because Australia wants tourists to come. They want to open up, the economy. So this visa allows you to basically come to Australia, have a holiday. I think you can study for a little bit as well, maximum study period as well. But basically you're here to just holiday, okay? You can't work. Number one condition of a tourist visa, no work. General requirements is that your intention is to come here to holiday. You have enough money to support your stay here in Australia. You cannot work in Australia. Now, if you are a parent of an Australian citizen or Australian permanent resident, you potentially can get a visa for up to 12 months. You need to submit the documentation for that to support that application, obviously, but your parents should be able to get at least a 12-month tourist visa. So what are some of the basic eligibility requirements? First of all, you must meet the character and health checks. Now, they don't always ask for a health check if you're coming for under 3 months, but usually if you're asking for up to 12 months, they'll ask for you to complete a medical check. And then obviously character requirements as well. Generally don't require a police check, but depending on the situation, they can request you for one if there's some information that they have found in relation to your application. Now, one of the requirements of this is that you must have enough money to support yourself here in Australia while you're holiday. Because remember, you can't work on this visa. So basically, if you're able to provide your bank account with savings in there, it should be sufficient. But how much money are we talking? So we're probably talking about upwards of $10,000. That is definitely how much I usually ask our clients to show. And it's just because of the experience I've had with tourist visas. So certain age groups, certain countries of passport, there's different levels of risk that the case officers assess them at. And I know, what these kind of basically are. So let's just say you need at least $10,000 in your bank account, and that is Australian dollars. You can have a family member or a friend say that they support you here in Australia, but it's most definitely better that you have your own liquid funds. They can say that they're supporting your plane ticket, they can say that they're supporting your accommodation, but you need to show some liquid funds. So be sure to have that ready in your application. And the probably most important requirement is that you must demonstrate that you are a genuine visitor. So this is almost pretty similar to, the student visa that I spoke about in my previous video. So you have to show that you have a reason to return back home. And because the department's worried that you'll come to Australia and then lodge another visa. And a lot of people do that, and it's just unfair on the system. So some people come to Australia and they lodge a protection visa, or they come to Australia and lodge, a student visa. And to them, that is not what this migration program is kind of designed for. This is just tourist visas. So they do assess some of these applications very, very closely. So what can I provide to prove that I'm a genuine visitor. So first of all, if you have assets back home, definitely provide that. A lot of my clients, if they have assets, I ask them to provide the certificate of title of the house and other things that they own back home. Now I know for the older age groups, that's probably a little bit easier for them to provide, but for people who are younger, between 20s and mid 30s kind of thing, they haven't bought a house yet, that's a little bit harder. For them, it's very important for them to show that they have their studies to return back to, or perhaps even their job. So I definitely provide like 6 months of pay slips along with their employment contract, and maybe even a work reference from the employer that they've approved this leave to attend something in Australia, and then they're looking forward to having them back once they finish their holiday here in Australia. All those things will build the dialogue and the story for your Australian tourist visa application. Just be aware that visa refusals do happen. It's because there are some non-genuine tourists out there. So they'll come to Australia and then they just stay here. They just go under the radar. I've honestly spoken to clients before who are unlawful in Australia, who came to Australia on a tourist visa 10 years ago and have not left. They have just gone under the radar. Immigration cannot find them, and that's just the way it is. And so that's why they have put these really strict requirements in place to reduce things like that happening. Now for tourist visa, it's one application per person. If your whole family is coming, that's fine, and you would note that on the application. But each person has to do their own application. So I had a client who had a 3-month-old baby. She put him on his application too, but she got a visa. And then she couldn't travel because the baby didn't have a visa. And she's like, that's just stupid, why did that? I'm like, yeah, look, that makes sense, but you actually have to apply for an individual visa. Now, for some countries and passports, there's also some other visa streams that you can apply for. So there is the 601 and the 651. They're kind of like fast track streams. And for the 651 e-visitor, you can actually apply through an app, an ETA app. I've made a TikTok previously on before, but I'll drop the link below. Only some passport countries are eligible, and then also for the 601 as well. I think those other two subclasses are fast tracked, but obviously not that many country of passports are available to apply through those streams. So most people will be looking to apply under the 600. Now, the other thing is I think that if you have a criminal record, you can't apply under those fast track streams. You need to apply under the 600 as well. And I'm saying it could be a minor criminal record, but it's probably safer to apply under the 600. Now, just remember when you get a tourist visa into Australia, just remember that may not be the end of it. I don't know if any of you guys have watched Border Security on, I don't know what channel it is. It's one of my favorite TV shows. I think it's hilarious. And basically, you can get questioned at immigration. They can question you, why you're here, look more into your things, look at your stuff. They can go through your phone. So I had a client coming back and they went through her phone and she was working. So she got detained and sent back to her home country. So you've got to be aware that just because you get the visa, it's not the end of it. You still need to do the right thing until you've crossed immigration, you've crossed customs, and you're out the airport. But even then, when you are in Australia, you need to continue to comply with your conditions. So that means, no work. I think it's maximum 3-month study, and basically be a genuine tourist and visitor in Australia. Now, if you've previously come to Australia before, it's a lot easier for you to apply. Basically, people with good travel history to Australia, I think the visa will get approved in like an hour or one day. I've had that happen for a lot of my clients. If you've never traveled to Australia before, but you've traveled to other countries such as the US, the UK, China, again, your application will be approved pretty quickly. It's for the applicants who haven't traveled to many countries or anywhere before that they'll be looking at them more closely. And for people who have never really traveled but they still want to grant the visa to, your visa might be granted but with an 8503 condition, which means that you can't apply for another visa here in Australia. It just stops you from doing that. And basically they do that just to make sure that you are coming as a genuine tourist and you'll be home after 3 months, because a lot of people can come to Australia, they don't have the 8503 condition on their visa, they technically can apply for another visa here in Australia. Now, I hope you guys found that video helpful. If you want to learn about any other visas or anything else migration related in Australia, please feel free to drop a comment below. Don't forget to share this video with people who need it. And if you want to get in contact with our law firm or myself, contact us in the link below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.